Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are talking T20 World Cup. I'm here with GJ Weaver once again, and we're going to give you guys a recap of the Super 12 and previewing the semi-finals and then a little bit maybe of the final to come. Gareth, what have you made of the tournament as a whole so far?
Wet is the word that
Yeah.
springs to mind. Apart from that, like a few upsets, great games going on, but unfortunately, yeah, some of the rain dictating a few results of some of the teams, which is a bit unfortunate. But I mean, I still think it's been a pretty solid 2020 World Cup.
Yeah, I think that's obviously been the major issue for a lot of people was that it did rain out a few games. I know in Victoria anyway, we only really had like one or two games that we got to see because of the rain that interrupted a lot of it, and we didn't even get to see the Australian team play here, which was very disappointing. But I guess that's cricket, and that's how it works sometimes. It's a weird sport in that way.
Yeah. Especially when I was supposed to be I was at the Australian England game and waited around for a little bit before it got caught off. Yeah, crowd wasn't happy with that one, and then yeah, a couple other rain. A couple other games that got rained out, but yeah, I mean it's looking pretty similar to the final as well with the weather. So
Oh yeah,
sums it up.
Sunday could hopefully. Hopefully we'll get some sort of a game in rather than
Yeah.
a rain interrupted one. But obviously the rain affected a number of teams. Australia and South Africa, two teams that did get eliminated in that Super 12 that probably felt like they left a bit out there. South Africa obviously had that rain interrupted game early on in the tournament, which I don't know could have affected whether or not they made it. If they had that extra point, possibly their net run rate over Pakistan would have been a bit different. Because I think they were absolutely flying in that as well in that chase. I think it was against Zimbabwe. So I think, what do you make of South Africa's final day collapse to really get them out of the World Cup?
Yeah, well, it doesn't like historically they're kind of known for this sort of choke, I guess. And yeah, they did it again pretty much. So unfortunate because they were looking real good. Like they were putting some solid performances together, and then for them to lose to the Netherlands. I mean, fair play to the Netherlands. They played amazingly well and ended up getting that fourth spot, which gives them a chance at the next World Cup as well. So hats off to them. But unfortunately for South Africa, yeah, another near miss.
Indeed, it was. And Australia as well. They obviously, it just felt like throughout the tournament they weren't really ever a chance. They were always playing catch up after that first game against New Zealand. There were question marks around the team, and it just sort of never really worked out for them.
Yeah, they never really got going. I mean, yeah, the first match sort of dictated how their World Cup went, and yeah, with their brained off game with England as well, didn't have their chances. And I thought they were in with a chance with Sri Lanka, almost
Oh yeah, it was
causing a
a
little
weird,
upset over
weird
England.
finish.
That was weird. Like, yeah, there's a chance, but yeah, I'd probably say the two better teams got through. I mean, before the World Cup started, I would say definitely Australia, but seeing how they played, I mean, I think New Zealand, England probably deserved to go through.
Yeah, and I think obviously with South Africa missing out there in Group B, it gives us the potential for that dream final of India-Pakistan. I know that obviously you want New Zealand to make it, but I'm thinking of that rematch of what we got earlier on in the tournament. It'll be back at the MCG on Sunday. If we get something anywhere near that, what a final that would be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know I want, of course, I want New Zealand to be there, but if it was India Pakistan, I wouldn't be as upset. But yeah, I don't know, it's gonna be touch and go. Like, I mean, Pakistan probably they were very lucky to be there. India have been playing pretty well all tournament. I think the ICC want it, to be fair. So
Yeah.
we'll see how tonight goes.
Yeah, so on tonight, obviously New Zealand taking on Pakistan. Both sides, or well, New Zealand coming off 4 wins, Pakistan coming off the 3 with those 2 losses, narrowly scraping through. What are your thoughts on this game? Who's going to win and why?
Well, if anything to go by the World Cup at the moment, I would hope New Zealand would win. I think they've been, out of the two teams, I think they've been the better side. Pakistan haven't really got going. I think the best has been Shadab Khan. He's taken 10 wickets or something, but the batters just haven't really got going. I think Shan Masood, I think, has been the top run scorer at the moment. So they really need Babar Azam and Rizwan to keep going if they're a chance at all. But yeah, they just haven't fired. this World Cup, which has been surprising. But I mean, they're big game players. Pakistan beat us in a tri-series final in New Zealand just before as a little warm up. So they do have the wood over us, but World Cup semi-final, different killer fish.
Yeah, I definitely think the batting is going to be the key in that matchup because, as you said, Pakistan's batsmen haven't really got going, and New Zealand have obviously got a couple of players who've made really big scores through this World Cup. Obviously saw the Glenn Phillips 100, and Conway made that 92 against Australia in that first game. So they've got guys who are in the form to be able to score the runs. It's just whether or not, which Pakistan rocks up tonight, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they could very easily take the game away from us fairly quickly if their batters get off to a good start. But hoping the form of New Zealand in the last couple of games, sort of apart from the England game, rings true and gets the job done. But yeah, fingers crossed. I'm still pessimistic.
Back 'em in. All right. Then the next game tomorrow night, we've got India and England. Probably a matchup people would have been expecting to see at some stage through this World Cup. I probably, even though in my predictions initially I had Australia to win, I really thought England were going to win, but I just really wanted Australia, so that's why they were there. So I think India and England, this is going to be a big matchup. I think India, next to New Zealand, have been the best performed side through this World Cup. I think their batting has been fantastic. Their bowlers have done a great job as well. Arshdeep at the top, absolutely swinging that thing like a hoop. So they are dangerous, and I think they have probably the most depth in their side to be able to deal with an issue like we saw, I guess, in that first game against Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly. And last game as well, where Pant played for Kartik as well. So yeah, they've definitely got the depth. Yeah, as you said, I think India have been out of the two, India's definitely been probably the form side over them. So I'm thinking an India win as well. Well, I guess I'm hoping for one, because if New Zealand was to make it through, I'd rather New Zealand play India than England, just because England have already beat us this World Cup. So just starting to mix it up. But yeah, I don't know, England their batting as well haven't been in form. I think Milan's missed out. I think Salt's coming into the side, I think.
Yeah.
But no one's really sort of stepped up and taken this World Cup by storm. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And weather's supposed to be good for both games as well, so we should get a full game in for it both.
Yeah, I think especially with England, like we saw England, Australia, obviously the net run rate was the difference between them, and that they didn't play off against each other. But both sides very similar in the fact that they haven't really had, one player that has really performed for them consistently. We've seen flashes at the top of the order from Hales and Butler, but really outside of that, and Stokes's, run a ball 45 or whatever it was that got them through against Sri Lanka. They've sort of been holding on, I think, in games and just getting there off the back of their talent rather than being good in the moments.
Yeah, I think Sam Curran as well. I think he's bowled very well. Probably been one of the bowlers of the tournament, taken a few wickets, and also he's bowling quite well at the death as well. So he's going to play a massive part in that innings. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, and yeah, it's just going to be so close. I'm just not sure what's going to happen. These semis they have different sort of cricket altogether, really. Do
you think, obviously we've come into this World Cup, Australian pitches, they're generally batter friendly, and we haven't really seen too many big scores, nothing really 200 plus, I think outside of New Zealand's first innings against Australia. So I wonder what kind of a score is going to win you these semis and final. Is 160 defendable in these environments?
Yeah, well, I think we've shown it, shown previously in a few games that it's been the case. But I think if you get up 180 is going to be a really good score, especially I think at the SCG as well, because they're playing on I think they've been playing on used pitches. I mean, and then they've had those double headers as well, where they've been playing on the pitches straight after each other. So it hasn't been a real sort of good indication of what a really good score would be. But yeah, 160 is probably the minimum score you'd want. And if you get around 180, nearing 200, I think that's going to be a pretty tough score to chase down.
Very nice. All right. Quickly before we go, because I don't think we'll have time to recap the semis before the final. Who do you think is going to make the final? Who do you think's going to win it? Obviously, your prediction was Pakistan, but now they're coming up against New Zealand. Do you still think they're going to go through?
I think I finally have to back New Zealand in here. So I'm going New Zealand to beat Pakistan, India to beat England, New Zealand, India final. Bring it on.
I think New Zealand, India as well is probably the way to go. My predictions have been absolutely deplorable at this point. I think I just need to throw them all in the bin. I had South Africa to make the semis. That didn't happen. I had Australia and England in the final. That didn't happen. So, England could at least make it. But should be a cracking couple of days of cricket and a cracking final on Sunday. Hopefully the rain stays away. But if the rain doesn't stay away, we want to quickly go over the scenario of what could happen. So obviously we've got the semi-final tonight and tomorrow night. If they rain out, we get a reserve day for those. So I imagine it would be the next day where both of those get played, or one of them will get played. And then if it rains out on the reserve day, the team that is higher, so this would be India and New Zealand in this case, would go through to the final. Now, here's the tricky one. If it goes through to the final and the weather's looking pretty average for Sunday and it rains out, and then on Monday it rains out again on the reserve day, the trophy is shared between the two teams in the final. What would you think about that if New Zealand and India, great tournaments, and they share the trophy on Monday afternoon when it continuously rains?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty upsetting, especially as I'm going to be at the game, but there's not much you can do about it. It would sum up the World Cup pretty well with all the rain that we've had. But yeah, I think the semi-finals are supposed to be fine weather-wise. It's just that Sunday and Monday in Melbourne is supposed to be fairly grim. So fingers crossed we actually get a final. And
do you think this is now the time, if we obviously get a rain-out final, to be like, this was a mistake, playing the World Cup at the end of the year during the wet season in Australia, rather than playing it at the end of the summer in January, at the start of Feb? Would that have made any difference? Because there probably would have been far less rain.
I mean, it's tough to know though, because like it's La Nina, right? And
yeah, and it still does rain in January. Like I work at the tennis, and it rains there at least 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, I don't think it would have. Well, yeah, I mean, you probably would have got a few more games in, but you can't, like, the schedule's done quite far in advance. I don't know it's that fair to say that it should be moved because of the rain that you can't control. But yeah, it's certainly going to create a lot of discussion around. I mean, Australians now don't really have a leg to stand on when they talk about the English weather as well, if things get cooled off, because they can just bring this up now. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's, they've done the best they can, and yeah, it's just what it is.
Last question. Obviously, you want to be there at the final if it happens. If the rain is obviously scheduled as it is to rain out both days, would you like the game moved to the SCG, for example, to get a full house in there and actually get a game on rather than seeing a shared trophy?
I mean, yeah, I would, but like that would never happen. It's like people saying, why don't they just move it to Marvel? And it's like, it's a logistical nightmare, and you just can't do that. But, if that was an option, then sure, as long as they got a game in. But yeah, would not happen.
All right, well, we'll leave it there, guys. Hopefully we do get a World Cup final. Hopefully we do get crowned one winner, not two. But until then, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time.